Even the best planned assault is a step into the unknown. Under extreme stress, the human brain defaults to its primal settings, fight or flight. But after countless drills, assault troops are left with only one mode: fight. Flight is only possible after the job is done. And then you can finally enjoy the moment and waste some of that precious water. After such intense trainings, a soldier's weapon becomes part of their body, or maybe even their soul. Recognize this rifle? Yep, that's an AR-15, an American semi-automatic rifle family based on the Colt AR-15 design or its clones. Tactical color, Step Frog. I use the AR system. I had this rifle even before the war started. But wait, why would a soldier pick a civilian AR-15 over an M16 or M4, the military-issued rifles that came from the same Armalite AR-15 blueprint? There are reasons. First, the US has supplied very few M4s and M16s. Second, AR-15s can be legally purchased both in Ukraine and abroad. And third, I built this rifle to fit me. It's ready for any mission in extreme conditions. Hold on, built it? The AR-15 was created back in the 1950s by Armalite, a company that designed weapons for the US military. So what does he mean? I installed a short upper receiver, changed the stock and grip, added a red dot sight, a laser, a flashlight, a suppressor. See, the AR-15 is a modular rifle. You can swap out nearly every part, and countless manufacturers worldwide produce custom components. But does all of this really matter? When you're in full gear or winter clothing, the stock needs to be shorter. When storming a building, a flashlight or strobe is a must. This red dot has a night vision mode. You can even install a custom trigger that fits your finger just right. In an assault, every single detail in a soldier's gear matters, right down to this string. That's not just a random piece of cord. It helps the soldier measure the distance they've moved away from friendly lines. The AR-15 is an incredibly flexible platform. Both the rifle itself and its components, accessories, and ammunition can be bought at civilian gun stores. However, the military-issue M4A1 carbine is a different story. You won't find it in Ukrainian gun shops. Only a limited number have been supplied by allies. But is there really such a big difference between the M4A1 and the AR-15? A quick way to tell them apart is the short barrel and the fixed front sight on the M4A1. You'll also see 5.56 by 45mm NATO engraved on the military carbine's barrel. But the real difference is inside. Check this out. The rifling twist rate of an M4A1 barrel is 1:7. That means the bullet makes one full rotation every 7 inches of barrel travel. This 1:7 twist is the standard for US military rifles and is considered the mil spec for 5.56 barrels. Why does this matter? NATO standard ammo includes tracer, armor-piercing tracer, and incendiary rounds. These have longer bullets that need a faster twist rate to stay stable in flight. Meanwhile, early versions of the AR-15 had a 1:14 twist, but today the sweet spot is 1:8. This setup lets you fire not only .223 Remington, but also standard 5.56mm rounds. That's why modern AR-15 barrels are chambered to handle both calibers. However, never fire 5.56 NATO ammo from a rifle chambered only for .223 Remington, unless it's specifically marked on the barrel. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a like. It helps more people find it. So the AR-15 gives you nearly unlimited options for customization. Of course, modding out your rifle can drive up the cost dramatically. In Texas, you might find a basic AR-15 on sale for $600. But a fully tricked out Great Terrace build, that'll set you back $3,500. Unlike its military counterpart, all AR-15s, no matter how tricked out, fire one shot per trigger pull. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? In a close quarters assault, you often need a hail of bullets, not carefully aimed single shots. What does our brave warrior have to say about that? On combat missions, I often just swap my civilian upper receiver onto the lower receiver of a Colt M4A1, which has a full auto mode. Well, full auto fire burns through ammo fast. Even the toughest assault troops can't lug around an unlimited supply of magazines. That's why semi-auto remains the primary mode in battle. But having the option of full auto, that's pure psychological comfort. It might not be used often, but just knowing it's there, that's enough to warm the soul. So yes, automatic fire still matters. That's why in February 2023, the Ukrainian Armed Forces officially adopted the UAR-15, a select fire version of the AR-15, produced by a Ukrainian private manufacturer under an American license. The National Guard had already been using the UAR-15 before the full-scale invasion, making it far more common than the AR-15 or even the M4A1. The UAR-15 is standard issue in our brigade. This Ukrainian adaptation of the American rifle uses both Ukrainian and American parts. The barrel and trigger mechanism, which directly impact accuracy, are made in the US. Like its American cousin, the UAR-15 has a modular design, allowing soldiers to customize it for maximum comfort and efficiency. You can mount any accessories on this rifle, swap out the grip, the stock, the charging handle, whatever you want. The upper receiver and handguard feature Picatinny rails, so you can attach optics, lasers, and other tactical gadgets. In short, the Ukrainian AR-15 is nearly identical to the original, but how does it hold up in real combat? We have to warn you, what you're about to see may cause severe distress for gun enthusiasts. If you love firearms, you might want to take a deep breath. We're all about real-world testing here. Yeah, this is real-life stuff. Subscribing boosts the video in the algorithm. Please consider hitting that button. The reliability of an assault rifle isn't just a feature, it's the only thing that matters. Finding yourself in front of an enemy bunker with a jammed rifle? That's a nightmare scenario. That's why Ukrainian troops push their weapons to the limit. And as you'll see, the AR system holds up just fine. The AK-12 is a must-have at Red Square parades. Russia's newest 5.45 by 39mm rifle, it was supposed to be the ultimate upgrade to the legendary Kalashnikov platform. And yet, Russian troops are constantly modifying it, patching flaws that have popped up throughout the war. Want to tell which version is which? Just look at the stock. It changes with every update. There are smaller tweaks too, but the stock is the most obvious sign that even Russian engineers aren't happy with the design. Since the early days of the invasion, captured AK-12s have been flooding into Ukrainian hands. After the battle for Kiev, they piled up in storage like old furniture. The biggest problem with the AK-12 is that none of its parts are interchangeable with older AK-74s or anything made by third-party manufacturers. If something breaks, forget about fixing it. Then there's the weird iron sight. If you're used to a classic AK-74, this one will feel like a bad joke. And the fire selector? It doesn't lock properly. Some soldiers say they got used to it and even prefer it over the AK-74s, but let's just say it's an acquired taste. People love saying AKs are easy to master, but are they? I don't think so. If you want real speed and precision, the AR system is much easier to control. And then there's the build quality. The AK-12 rust, yes, rust, like an old car abandoned in the rain. The metal coating is so bad that chipped and corroded parts are common. I've never seen a rusty AR. And it's not just the rifle, the ammo is a problem too. Even rounds from the same crate can produce wildly different accuracy results. But hey, at least ammo supply isn't an issue. Finding 5.45 times 39 rounds is way easier than getting NATO standard cartridges. So is everything Russian automatically bad? Not quite. The AK-12 has its pros and cons. But one thing is clear, it's not built for extreme conditions. That's why many Ukrainian assault troops still prefer Kalashnikovs, just not the AK-12. Instead, they go for the classic, battle-hardened AK-74. The only things I changed for comfort were the adjustable stock, pistol grip, handguard for better handling and attachments, and a flash hider. That's it. The AK-74 has earned the respect of millions of soldiers across multiple generations and countries, cementing its legendary status. It first saw action with Soviet forces during the 1979 invasion of Afghanistan, a war that turned into a nightmare for the Red Army. Rumor has it that the CIA paid $5,000 for the first captured AK-74 from the Mujahideen, just to get a closer look at the new Soviet weapon. Today, the AK-74 is the most common rifle on the battlefield. Its 5.45 by 39mm ammunition is widely available across all front lines, which, let's be honest, is often the biggest reason to choose it. Running out of ammo is every soldier's worst nightmare.
Уявімо просто собі ситуацію,
For example, when we capture an enemy position, we often find sealed ammo crates. Once the engineers clear them, we can open them and use whatever's inside. But if you think a rifle magically jumps into a soldier's hands and takes out the enemy on its own, you're very wrong. A good assault trooper needs far more than just shooting skills. Above all, he needs to think clearly, which is nearly impossible in the heat of battle, and have the guts to keep going even when he's outnumbered and alone. Look at this Ukrainian soldier. He was left alone but decided to finish the job anyway. For several minutes, he fired from different positions, then lobbed grenades at various angles, imitating a full assault team. The result? The Russians surrendered. But let's be real, maybe they just ran out of ammo. And then there's this other Ukrainian soldier who, alongside his comrades, held his position for 67 days while being completely surrounded. The only things that kept them alive? Courage, skill, and a whole lot of bullets. When they finally broke out, the area around his trench was littered with dozens of Russian corpses and multiple destroyed vehicles. But that's another story, one that definitely deserves its own video. Want more videos about firearms? Tell us what you're interested in. We'll make it happen. An assault trooper storming enemy positions, or an infantryman holding the line in a trench.